Yo, if it's not for that Hail Murray, you're looking at a team that has like a 7-8 game winning streak, man.
Dude, they are a legit threat.
They are, and their defense is starting to come along.
Right.
The offense is, I mean, Josh Allen is playing at a really high level.
And John Brown's supposed to be coming back. He's a huge threat. Anytime you get a vertical threat like John Brown, that's big. And it's just crazy seeing how the chemistry between him and Beasley. I'm loving that dynamic. And then Gabriel Davis will pop up with a couple of nice big plays. They just have a fun, young offense filled with playmakers.
You know, I like everything that they've done the last 2 years, and that's exactly how you should build your roster, where you find a quarterback, a young dude, and you see in year one that he has flashes, and then you say to yourself, let's go and surround them with some pieces. And they did with John Brown. They did addressing it in the draft with some pieces that they brought in, Gabriel Davis, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss this year as well. And then you trade an asset for an established wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. And Buffalo is weird. You know how I feel about Buffalo, dude? I can see them win the AFC, but I can also see myself gathering the money from Patreon and betting against them in the wild card round.
It's Josh Allen. I hate to say it. Yeah, like, their defense is a little vulnerable, don't get me wrong, but it's just you never know when those games where Josh Allen's high of a level he's playing, he's still kind of volatile to the point where he will take a few chances and kind of cost you the game. But I think the guidance of Brian Daboll, who will be getting a lot of attention come January, you're going to see him get ton of interviews. I think he's one of the top offensive minds out there, one of the top coaching candidates. I think what he's done, especially when you look at games against San Francisco and even the Pittsburgh game, like Josh Allen looks so assured of himself. Like he just looks poised. He's ready to just. It doesn't matter how tight the window is. He's gonna make the throw. Like he's definitely looked like a top 5 quarterback at times this year, which is why I'm really confident with Buffalo. Like I don't think Josh Allen will lose them a game. I think we'll probably lose them a game if anything. Would just be they just can't score enough points against Kansas City probably, because I do think Kansas City Buffalo, I'm pretty confident that's probably going to be an AFC Championship game.
That'd be a good one.
Because I just think Buffalo's too good right now offensively, and I don't know any other AFC teams that could really hold them to under 30 points but then score enough points either. Like maybe Baltimore, but like I'm not trusting Pittsburgh. And look, I love Tennessee, but Tennessee's defense is a complete wreck. They had the snow with them last night, and they had no chance of stopping Rodgers and Adams. And A.J. Dillon was looking like young Michael Turner out there, just rumbling through.
Yo, that's a great comparison. Holy shit!
Everyone was saying Eddie Lacy. I'm like, man, he looks like Michael Turner.
He does look like Michael Turner, bro. I was watching the game at Dominic's crib, and he was saying to me, he said, yo, he reminds me of someone, and we couldn't make out who the player was that we were thinking about. And now that you said Michael Turner,
those big thighs,
it's perfect, man.
So I love. Everyone knows I love Tennessee, but that defense is. They have 14 sacks in like 15 games.
Like, and even if you shut down Henry,
if they play from
if you make him one dimensional, bro, it's tough, dude. And also AJ Brown, he catches a 20-yard pass and then he hobbles to the sideline.
That's my guy, man.
Yeah, I like AJ Brown, dude. He kind of reminds me of Julio a little bit.
That's why he wore the jersey.
That's a comparison. Yeah. Oh, they also wear number 11 as well.
And he's so good after the catch.
You mentioned the offensive coordinator for Buffalo, Daboll. Mm-hmm. What would you say of all the free head coach openings, which one do you think is the most intriguing?
I've been saying Houston for a bit now, but
what about? Hold on. Now that you said that, what about Houston not having a first round pick? And it's a top
that's a problem.
Pick.
But like you heard that J.J. Watt press conference.
Yeah.
Like there clearly is something deeply wrong in there. It's not just the wasted draft picks. It's not just the cap situation. Although no, I think their cap situation is pretty good. I think it's just not having basically no draft picks and so many holes in our roster. But I thought, just from what I gathered from listening to J.J. Watt, it just seems like there's a lot of players that either don't want to be there or have no business playing in the NFL. So I don't know. That press conference really scared me off, because if you have someone like J.J. Watt coming out like that, J.J. Watt's the most personable, most player-friendly guy. Like, he is someone that he loves life. Like, J.J. Watt's this positive guy. And for him to come out like that, and of course he's saying names because he wants to respect, Romeo Crennel and the whole organization. But I just thought that 2-minute conference. I think it's going to be very eye-opening.
Well, I also think J.J. Watt's probably looking at it like, yo, I don't have many years left in the league. Mm-hmm. We finally have a guy that's not an asshole at quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Bro, Watson is having a fantastic year this year.
Dude, he's amazing.
He's having such a good year. And no one's talking about him because he's on a team that's won 4 games, right? And the situation has been so bad.
Like, you look at both games against Indy, fumbling at the 5-yard line, kind of a freak play, and then Kuti fumbles at the 2-yard line. They could have beat Indy twice these last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or a month, whatever, maybe.
Well, yeah, man. Yeah. And, J.J. Watt's probably looking at that like, yo, dude, I had to deal with Brian Hoyer, Brandon Weeden, Osweiler, and we finally have a guy. Like, let's rally behind them. Let's play better. Let's get guys in here that want to win and compete. And it could be devastating for a guy that's been on a team for so long. It's, one interview, you mentioned the interview that he had in the post game. Dude, there was one time, it was when AB left Pittsburgh to go to Oakland. Larry Fitzgerald was at a panel, and they asked him about that, and Larry Fitzgerald said, man, don't take it for granted playing with an elite quarterback, because Fitzgerald's played with a cast of legends also, right? The 2-3 years he had, his best seasons came with Kurt Warner, that run that they went on, and then when he had Carson Palmer. And Larry Fitzgerald was like, man, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And you've seen it over and over again. The wide receiver, when he leaves for greener pastures and he gets paid in the offseason and he goes to a new team, new quarterback. Well, you don't bring the quarterback that made you successful to come over there. Right. Like I ad nauseum, I've talked about this in the past. And I think what you're looking at with like a guy like Watson in this situation that they have down there, it's, we have some good pieces on this team, and we have the main piece, which is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think that's the position the head coaching position that I would pick. But it's weird because they have the quarterback, but then they have no assets.
Right. And it's actually not my pick anymore. Not just because of J.J. Watt's comments, but just through doing research the past few weeks and now seeing the position they're in. I'm going with Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is the best spot right now.
Really?
Trevor Lawrence, 11 draft picks, and most cap space in the league. They have a lot to work with, and they're not in any rush to compete. I think coach sells, and the new GM as well. So I think they're in a position where you could just build something from within 2-3 years and then contend. Like I just compare, because I think an organization like Houston, obviously Atlanta, like there's gonna be pressure immediately. Even though they'll say, "Oh, we're kind of rebuilding," I just feel like, "Oh, we kind of have the talent here where it's like we really, really at least want to compete for a playoff spot." With Jacksonville, I feel like, man, you can at least two-year ride, if not 3 years. And just between Lawrence and now like 11 draft picks, that's huge. So to me, I would say Jacksonville, and I think you're gonna hear former executives or even analysts talk about it.
Definitely didn't cross my mind. You've swung me on it. Also, they got a good running back in James Robinson, undrafted this year, balling out. They got DJ Chark, who's there as well.
Yeah. You also have to keep in mind, like, what else is out there? No one's going to pick Detroit. No one's going to pick the Jets. I think their roster's still a little bit old right now, and the cap situation is not good. So I think it does come down to Jacksonville and Houston, and I've been reading a lot about Jacksonville. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the vision. It's intriguing.
Hey, man, you bring up a compelling point. It's hard to disagree with that.
Especially if you believe in Lawrence.
Yeah. I mean, if you believe in Lawrence and you take on that job, like that's a good one there. Yeah, and think about that division too. It's not that outrageous if Jacksonville, if they get Lawrence and he pans out and they make some free agent moves, like you said with the cap space, like they could compete right away.
It's always been like that.
Yeah.
That's why that's what people like on Twitter were telling me, oh, why would Ben-Ami why would he pick Houston over Atlanta? Like, come on, Atlanta has a superior roster, a better team. Like Houston, they're in cap hell. Not cap hell. They have no draft picks. The roster's bad, but I'm like, you understand, they play in the AFC South. Mm-hmm. You have so much opportunity there. There's no powerhouse team. It's every week you're probably gonna be competing. Like Houston could have beat Indy twice this year.
Yeah.
Like that's how balanced it is. So I think you have to look at that as an attraction. It's like, okay, AFC South, if we go say 4-2 in the division, win maybe 3 games at conference, next thing you know, we're competing.
Damn, what a difference finding a quarterback makes, right? Like we wouldn't have this conversation if they didn't have the number 1 pick.
No, definitely not.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Especially with a guy coming in like Trevor Lawrence. Right. Man, it's so weird because I think the big hire that everyone is expecting is Eric Bieniemy to Houston. I was watching that game yesterday, and my buddy Jesse was on the Monday pod, and he coaches at Central Connecticut State. They're a D1AA. Dude, they're playing the Hurricanes this year, and they're gonna go to Miami to play.
Ooh.
And my friends and I from college are already planning on going a trip to Miami because you know me, dog. If I have
any opportunity
to go to Miami, like I'm going, right? Mm-hmm. And I was just telling Jesse, I was like, yo, you guys are going to get smoked. Mm-hmm. He's like, no comment. I can't say. I might lose my job. But we were talking about Bieniemy. And, you know, there's always a conversation about there's not enough black coaches in the NFL, right? And, like, how did Bieniemy not get a job last year? Dude, look at where Bieniemy is now. He's still the number one head coaching prospect out there. His stock wasn't going to drop anyway. I get it that there's not enough minority coaches. I totally understand that. But my whole thing was I thought it was kind of a ridiculous take because maybe Bieniemy was like, hey, you know what I want to do, man? I want to coach Pat Mahomes for one more year. There's 6, 7 hires every year.
Right.
So, and it's not like my stock was going to go down because we were going to win 13 games and maybe win the Super Bowl again.
Right. And you also have to look at the hires. Like one of the more controversial ones was Stefanski, and Stefanski's up there for Coach of the Year right now.
Yeah.
The Stefanski hire couldn't have been better the way he's helped rebuild Baker. I think Joe Judge has been a damn good hire. Maybe you criticize Mike McCarthy, but I understand why Dallas made the move. I've never been a Mike McCarthy guy, but you know Jerry Jones is going to take someone that has experience. He's going to take that big name. Ron Rivera obviously made sense at the time for Washington. Those were all the hires, right? Or am I missing someone?
No, I think you...
Was it only 4?
You got them.
Or are we missing someone?
I mean, if we go through the division, the East had 3, right? Yeah. There were none in the AFC East. Yeah. Everyone returned. AFC South, there weren't any. Because Brian Flores is in the East.
Because you had Cleveland with Stefanski.
Yeah, Cleveland with Stefanski. Zach Taylor was already there.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure.
That was it. So, yeah, there was only really 4 openings.
Yeah. So. And they weren't that enticing like they are now. Like, yo, you got...
Oh, I forgot about Matt Rule.
Matt Rule, yes.
But then, and once again, completely unstable hire, and he's, for most part, been good so far. So that's why... Look, everyone wanted Bieniemy to get a job, but you look at the hires across the league so far, I'd say all of them, outside maybe Dallas, have been successful so far. Like they're trending in the right direction. Yeah, exactly, justified. They're trending in the right direction. They're building towards something. So that's why let's not be too critical.
Yeah, and also, dude, think about it now, right? Like, Chargers jobs are going to be open.
I hope so, but I'm starting to be concerned.
No, dude, there's no way they bring Anthony Lynn.
They shouldn't, but come on, we're talking about the Chargers here.
Nah, you can't, bro.
I hope not.
No.
I hope not.
Let's not get crazy.
No, but I'm hearing. I've seen headlines. Yeah? Team might be broke. Yeah, like I'm not exaggerating.
Easily betting him for first coach fired next year. Then
he's definitely gotta be up there,
bro. How do you do that? If you're Bieniemy, you're probably looking at that job too. Like top to bottom, that might be the most appealing job that you can have
if it's available. Yeah, I think that's the one, especially now that Denver announced Fangio's going to be back and Chicago's not going to get rid of
Matt Nagy.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking, okay, there's only one other team out there that you might question, and it'd probably be the Chargers. But I don't know, I keep hearing like this momentum they have. They're winning 1-score games now.
What momentum, bro? He's cost them 9 of them.
I know, but they're winning 1-score games now.
Dude, as we wrap up, man, I want to ask you one overarching takeaway from this COVID-infested 2020 NFL season. Mm-hmm. What would you say yours is?
A big takeaway just across the league?
Yeah, just across the league. You want me to tell you mine first since I had this question in mind? I think this is the golden age of quarterback play. I really think if you look at the landscape of the NFL, there's 32 teams. I'd say 25 of them, bro, are comfortable with their quarterback.
That many?
Yeah.
Really? Damn. That seems like a very high amount.
Yeah, I think right now the quarterbacks that are in the league there's that many that teams and fan bases are. Yeah, can you be angry at your quarterback? Yeah, I get that. But for the most part, you're like, yo, we can win on Sunday with him. I think this is the most that I've seen. And even if you factor in some of these young guys that have just come into the league, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Tua, we'll leave it at that. But like for the most part, Trubisky's hot right now.
All right, well,
I know. But we got to give the guy credit. He's, they put up a graphic that he's won more games as a starter than Deshaun Watson, and I was like, meaningless, because there is no one in an open market that would take Trubisky over Watson if they were both available.
QB wins the worst stat.
It's so dumb.
The worst stat.
Yo, what stat has changed for you over the years?
Definitely passing yards, just because it's so inflated now. When
Yeah.
You see how much garbage time points come into play. So that'd probably be passing yards.
I think interceptions for me has changed a lot.
When it comes to QBs.
Yeah, where I don't want you turning the ball over in your 20 and in their 20. Mm-hmm. Besides that, they're all basically bona fide punts, right? Like if you throw an interception on 3rd and 18 and the team gets it back at their 18-yard line, it's like, it was a punt.
You just don't want it to be to the point where it's like, okay, this is consistently bad.
I don't want you like Jameis Winston
yeah.
throwing 30, but I'm
Yeah.
saying if you throw 14 interceptions, but you have 570 attempts, it's like, yeah, that's kind of the ratio that I expect. Not everyone's going to be Rodgers where he throws the ball 500 times and he has 6 interceptions. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, interceptions is, don't throw 3 a game like Daniel Jones or turnovers like that. But for the most part, interceptions, I think that's changed. But going back to that initial question, man, I really think that this is the golden age of young quarterbacks.
If I had a takeaway, I think it's just getting harder and harder to play defense. I've had a huge issue with the roughing passer calls this year. I think.
Oh my God, they called one on the Jets.
Oh, we chest bumped.
Dude, I was like, yo, that's terrible.
I think roughing the passer has become a huge problem. Like, it's really affecting games. Like, I remember, like, AJ Terrell had a blitz on Matthew Stafford earlier in the year where he basically just bear hooked him, and it was like a normal tackle, and they called roughing the passer.
There was one, I think it was a Seahawks player. He tackled the quarterback, and you can see him in slow motion try to stop him from falling.
Right. I still do.
And they threw a flag. It's like, bro.
Between that, and I still think corners have a really short end of the stick when it comes to just how they have to play, when it comes to, using their hands and, bump and run down the field. Like, I feel for corners, I feel for edge rushers, or just defensive linemen in general. I feel like they're just getting penalized more and more. And it gets to the point, because I think ever since the replacement refs thing, where I'm just like, I don't want to continue complaining about officiating, but just like when you see officiating drastically affect games, it's like, how can this not be talked about? So,
yeah, man, it's, for me, that's
because 15 yards, and you don't know when it'll be a first down. It'll be like a 3rd and 13, and just because of that now, or if they even go low, like I understand sometimes it's hard. Like you don't want a quarterback getting his legs taken out, but sometimes the momentum will carry a defensive lineman where he doesn't mean to go low, but that's just how it is. We're still going to penalize him for that. I just hate seeing players get penalized for making fundamental football plays, things they were taught to do, proper technique, and we're going to penalize them for it. It's just not, it doesn't sit well for me, and I've seen it way too much this year. Man,
that's such a good question to ask an actual NFL defender, and I think next time that we get Deion Jones on the show, that's one that I think would be a good question for their insight, because, dude, it's so hard for you to have to adjust at that quick second. Like, I catch a pass over the middle and I'm up high, and then I duck down. It's like, bro, this is a split-second reaction. Like, what are you going to do? Where can I possibly hit the guy?
The helmet too. It's like the times where if a player is ducking low, it's like, how do you expect me to tackle him? If my helmet accidentally goes low a bit, like, I'm not trying to lead with the crown of my helmet, but from that angle, like, it's nothing malicious, yet you're still going to call 15 yards. It's just, every year I'm saying, they have to make some sort of adjustments to help make the game more smoother, more efficient, and it just never happens.
They need to change holding being an automatic first down, defensive holding. That's the most egregious call in, I think, professional sports.
That's another dance.
3rd and 18 and defensive holding, now it's a first down. Suck my balls, bro. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Make it equate the yards. Like, yo, it's 3rd and 18 and it's a holding. then it's 3rd and 13. Like an automatic first down is crazy to me, son. That's so wild to me. And the worst ones is when it's away from the play. Like I drop back and I throw a slant to my left hand side within like 3 steps. And you call defensive holding on like a fade route down the right side. It's like, bro, come on.
Doesn't affect the play.
It doesn't affect the play one bit. Or the other bad call is very similar. Staying with holding on the offensive side. You're running like a jet sweep to the left side, and the wide receiver on the right side gets called for holding. Like, I get it. Maybe backside pursuit with the corner, he can make a play. But bro, like, what the fuck? Some of these calls are crazy.